happy because it's full. Our savings accounts are full. We're prepared for a rainy day. And look at those folks there. Look how happy they are. They're very happy with the work that we've done. And,
we didn't get the smile.
If they're happy, we're
Rusty,
happy.
we need a smile on the pig.
What do you tell the pay raises for elected officials are fairly sizable? Can you speak to that?
Let me speak to that. For too long around this place, what we pay state elected officials has been a political game. And we thought it was a mistake to do that. And let me be real specific. We thought this timing-wise was the perfect time to deal with this issue, take it off the table before the state rises are on the ballot again in 2010. We do it this year and tie that salary to an appropriate salary range that relates to other state employees, other state directors of departments. So we set the top elected officials in this state, we set their salaries at the midpoint of the top grade. That's what we did in the legislation that the House just passed. At the midpoint of the top grade, these folks run state departments just like department directors in other departments and supervise large numbers of people and employ larger numbers of people. And we tried to take politics out of this business of statewide elected salaries and tie them to a mechanism that over time, when we have years when our economy is weak, those pay ranges, grade 7, will not change. The legislature will not make changes to that. And when we have years when it's appropriate, the economy is okay, those will go up over time. And we will quit playing political football with the salaries of statewide elected officials.
Will we see anything more today on the open records issues?
I don't think appropriations will be meeting again, so I think it's unlikely. Plus, we have quite frankly, there's a lot of amendments on that bill that one or two members want to offer, and it just becomes a lot to be able to do in the last 24, 48 hours of session.
7 to 10 amendments.
Yeah, there were 7 to 10 amendments, and because of those amendments and the time it would have taken to work through it, I just don't think there's going to be time there to do it.
What about
Senator Gronstal, do you concur?
We'll make that judgment in a while.
How long would that delay your projected adjournment if that were to come back over in some form?
We will make that judgment in a while.
hog loader, or is that going to do anything as far as the issue with the EPA? It wasn't the hog loader study itself, but
No, the odor mitigation proposal is done. The House passed the second version that came over, that issue is done.
okay.
Are you talking about the other bill with
Yeah,
the turkey?
not the study.
The environmental protection agency,
DNR stuff.
is going to be, I think, in some form of an agreed to proposal the DNR and EPA ones will be passed, probably in stages.
That's the stockpile.
No.
Well, it deals with
Yeah,
the
there's a
three
portion
issues,
of it.
3 separate bills that the Senate passed.
Okay.
One deals with the federal EPA, said our code and rules was too lenient for the federal to accept. So they asked us to change the water runoff with sale barns, open feedlots, and the other one that we agreed to and passed practically unanimous in the Senate, or maybe it was unanimous, was aerial spray of pesticides from out-of-state sprayers. Those 3 were passed, and then they went to the House and they put the turkey issue on that one. And that has not been resolved to my the way that I've heard this morning. But the other 3 bills need to be passed regardless of the process, whether it's in standings or, and I think everybody agrees they should be passed. And the turkey issue may have to wait till next year. There's only one pile of manure between them.
You guys included money for REAP, but you didn't fund it to the $20 million level that Governor Culver had originally requested. Is that?
Yeah, we went to 18 million, I think, in the bill that we've passed, and will be going down to the governor. We worked with him in a bipartisan effort, realizing that there were other issues that we needed to make sure that we addressed as well. But I think the big part you need to remember is that since REAP was created in 1989, this is the highest level of funding it's had in like 16, 17, 18 years.
1992.
since 16 years, 1992. So we feel like we're making progress in the right direction, especially when you take a look back just 5 or 6 years ago when it was down to like $7 or $8 million. People were wondering if that program was just going to phase out. This, I think, proves that Democrats are very committed to working on environmental issues, and we will continue to be in the future.
Well, I think we're on track to get, to the 20 million next year. I think we're on track to get to the original statutory level by next year's budget. We're halfway there this year to the other half next year.
A ballpark number, is the overall state budget plan about 6.5 billion, or is it 6.2? I have two. Republicans say it's 6.2. A Democrat told me it was 6.5. So tell me what it actually is roughly. I don't want digital. I don't want decimal points, but
Between 6 and 6.5 billion.
Yeah, somewhere between those two numbers, probably. We'll get that.
Yeah.
In reference to your opening
It's-
statement about sound budgeting practices, they
Okay.
pointed out last night when the RIF bill came up that there were 83 notwithstandings in that bill alone. And the values fund was moved from general fund to RIF.
Did you say 82? I think that's down from 118. Okay. In the last Republican budget.
So that's progress, I assume?
I think we're making progress.
Going the right way.
We make no bones about the fact that we have not cleaned up all of the bad budget practices of the 10 years Republicans controlled both houses of the legislature. We have not cleaned all of those up, but we've made progress on every single one of them. And let me repeat, over $600 million in our savings account. That's the most we've ever had in the history of the state. We completely filled our reserve funds. We are on track to all but fill the senior living trust fund, 265 million bucks, and that's supposed to be 300. But we're all but finished on that, and we did not raise the reserve fund as the Republicans suggested we would. We have a responsible budget, a fiscally sound budget, better on every category. I'm sure there'll be plenty of criticisms, but better on every category. More money paying for property tax credits out of the general fund instead of out of the ending balance. And we didn't solve our budget problems by cutting $60 million out of local governments. That's what happened in past budgets when they tried to balance the budget. They did it by unbalancing cities and counties' budgets, $60 million. So I think we've got a responsible budget, and we do need to continue to make progress on that. But I think 82 is down significantly from what it was under the Republicans when it was their budget.
And I think regardless of where you look in the budget, whether it's the notwithstandings in the RIF bill that we've dropped it by about 20 or 30, or if you look at the fact that property tax credits, when they made the decision to walk away from local governments, the commitment we've had for years, where 60 million, we're putting that money back into the general fund. It's gonna take a while because they did 160 million. Then you take a look at the fact that the Senior Living Trust Fund is having money flowing back through it. You also take a look at the fact that our accounts are filled back up to where they're required under statutory provisions of the law. We feel real good about our budgeting practices for the last 2 years, and these are Democrats talking about it.
Are you confident that the level of the reserves can sustain state operations in the event of an economic downturn?
Well, here's the part I would just say. We can't predict what economic downturns are going to occur. So the bottom line is that's still the legislature's decision. Republicans made the decision back in 2001, 2002 to dip into the reserve funds. And you know, the bottom line was, I think a Democratic governor at that point was saying that we needed to do that. There's times that you use that fund and there's times that you don't. I know there was a lot of noise made in January and February that we were going to dip into those funds. Well, here we sit almost towards the end of May, and those funds are going to still be filled to their constitutional requirements. We're going to retain that commitment, but there are times that you would go into those funds so that you can maintain state services and deal with economic emergencies as they occur. But right now, there is no need to. The Iowa economy is doing strong. We have a 3.5% unemployment rate. We are bucking the national trend, which is unusual for this state. Our budget receipts are at 8.5 or 9%. We are doing very, very well, and so we need to make sure that we keep our commitments, but also keep our commitments to the taxpayer as well in keeping these funds filled.